Swaddled in a sea of concrete, stucco, glass, and steel, between Beverly Hills, Century City, and Westwood is an oasis called the Los Angeles Country Club. The Country Club's two courses, the north and the south, flow through a Southern California landscape of canyons and dry barrancas, despite being engulfed by some of the most coveted real estate in the country. They are preserves of early Los Angeles, and the naturalness of their setting has changed little in the 100-plus years since golf was first introduced. The North is an architectural marvel conceived by George Thomas in 1927 over the club's previously existing layout, and is one of 3 landmark courses he designed in LA along with Riviera and Bel Air. Inspired by the various personalities of the terrain, he developed a concept that was ahead of its time, a design of ingenious flexibility with tees placed at different distances and orientations that required recalibrated strategies as they changed day to day. Though the fairways are wide, they move up, down, and side to side, making players anticipate where drives will run out and how best to work balls into the greens. At over 7,500 yards for tournaments, including the 2023 US Open, the North Course demands both brains and brawn. There's no shortage of beauty, and the existential contrast of rugged nature versus luxurious metropolis make it one of the most surprising experiences in American golf. This is every hole at the Los Angeles Country Club's North Course. The par 5 first is as close to a subtle hole as the North Course has to offer. Located on a broad plateau where the clubhouse resides, the fairway looks as wide as Santa Monica Boulevard, expanding eastward over the flattest part of the property. The landing zone offers the first look at the distinctive chewed edge bunkering of Thomas's construction partner, Billy Bell, recreated by Gil Hanse and Jim Wagner during a 2009 renovation. The green opens from the right, but long hitters will attempt to fly second shots onto the subliminally contoured putting surface that flows deceptively from right to left. Similar to Riviera and Bel Air, the North follows a warm-up par 5 with the demanding long par 4. It runs through a lower basin and beckons a right-to-left drive slung off the outside ridgeline. Around 1970, the green was relocated to the hillside on the right, turning the hole into a dogleg, but Hanse and Wagner restored it to its original location, straight away and benched into a slope on the far side of the barranca. Club members must decide if they have the firepower to make the carry over the hazard or play it as a 3-shot hole. Combined, the first and second holes are essentially par 4.5s, even for the best players. The short par 4 third heads north into a shallow canyon, tackling LACC's most abrupt terrain. Though not entirely visible, the fairway kicks hard left toward the barranca, and prudent drive should hug the ridge on the right to yield an unobstructed view of the second shot. Longer hitters can use the slope to maneuver balls around the barranca to a valley 120 yards short of the green, but they must keep a keen eye on the pin positions around Thomas's large restored molar-shaped putting surface, as it's critical to stay below the hole. This is one of the most severely back-to-front pitched greens on the course. The barrancas, or small dormant riverbeds encountered at number 2 and 3, recur in various forms on 7 of the first 9 holes. Most of the time they're dry, but during rare times of extreme rains, as in early 2023, they can become torrents, engorged channels of water draining from the upper end of the canyon down through the 17th green. Over the decades, the barrancas had become grassed over and formalized, dulling their visual impact, and the restoration of their indigenous rugged and sandy appearance was a key element of the Hanse renovation. Today they are thriving ecosystems of wild grasses and plants, and cared for in the same meticulous way as the turf is. Thomas used the barrancas in a variety of ways, running them parallel to the line of play and orienting them across fairways or in front of greens. The green at the par 3 fourth sits like an island amid the washes and requires an all-carry shot to reach it. Before the renovation, with a barranca full of monochromatic Bermuda and a patch of fairway in front of the green, the hole could have belonged to any course in Southern California. After its reclamation, it couldn't be anywhere else but the Los Angeles Country Club. Continuing to the top of the canyon, the 5th is a doppelganger of the 3rd, another blind hole with the billowing ground this time falling from left to right. Ben Hogan, playing the course for the first time, once asked for the line. When his caddy told him to aim for the 4 tall palms standing sentinel in the distance, Hogan replied, "Which one?" With gaping bunkers blocking the right half of the green, the play is to maintain the high ground with both the drive and the second for the best angle into another molar-shaped putting surface, even using mounds on the left to help ricochet approach shots, as Thomas once envisioned. The drivable par 4 sixth is baffling in its complexity. The fairway boomerangs around a tapered hill that blocks the lower green from the elevated tee. The heroic play is directly over the tuft of trees toward a putting surface banked above the barranca. But there's an enormous amount of fairway to the left for those who want to dial up a favorite yardage into the length of the skinny green. There's an even better, though seldom used angle from the right for those opting for a middle degree of risk. U.S. Walker Cup coach Spider Miller warned his 2017 team not to be tempted into driving the green, but no one else is under such restrictions. The elasticity of the North Course design is on display at the par 3 7th, a hole that can range from 200 to 290 yards. It can even be stretched into a 326-yard par 4 playing back down the valley over the beautifully restored barranca to a relatively level putting surface that's open to tee shots bumped off the ridge left of the green. To emphasize the hole's versatility, there may even be days when the 7th plays longer as a par 3 than the previous hole does as a par 4. The par 5 8th is eye candy to players who work the ball left to right, as the slope of the fairway helps move drives down to a level resting place. The left to right drive is followed by a right to left shot back across the wash and around a grove of sycamores toward a small green perched against the mottled hazard. A long ago effort to lengthen the course had shifted the green out to the current position of the second green, but Hanson Wagner returned the 8th to where George Thomas had it placed. Even though it's shorter, the 8th is no less exacting with its small targets and precise shot-shaping demands. Exiting the canyon, the 9th hole returns play to the clubhouse plateau with an uphill tee shot playing across a ravine into a deep 3-level green with beautiful rippling movements around the edges. The 5 par 3s at Los Angeles Country Club's North Course are among the most diverse in the game, each expressing unique topographical characteristics that facilitate distinct shot options. One testament to their collective appeal is that the 9th hole, an absolute standout on any other course, may be the least memorable of the quintet. In contrast to the more compartmentalized front 9, the second 9 forms a gallery of holes that roam across an open upland quadrant to the north. Thomas once again presents plenty of space to play at the 10th, but uses the land's natural side slope and a trio of deep bunkers to defend premium angles. Though the longest hitters might be able to hit over them, this line needs to be challenged to avoid a blind uphill approach over bunkers into one of the North's smallest greens with more ferocious back-to-front tilt. The iconic par 3 11th trundles back down the hillside over a phalanx of bunkers to a green that falls away on 3 sides. With tees fanned in an arc from 160 to 294 yards, the hole is a stunning showcase of the diversity Thomas envisioned as it changes dramatically with each successive step back. Depending on the angle, distance, and hole location, the tactic is to either fly the ball onto the putting surface or use the ground contours in the foreground and off the left bunker to feed balls to back pins around a thumbprint depression. The short par 4 12th offers a chance to regroup before the North Course throws its cards on the table on the last 6 holes. Just 388 yards, the drive is blind over a bulging hill in the foreground. The line is just off the left edge of the trees on the skyline, and from there the hole turns left toward a wide, low green where only the flagstick is visible beyond a line of bunkers that rise from the earth like rolling whitecaps. Green contours at this point have been predominantly sloped with pronounced tilt and runoffs, but beginning at the 11th, they become more robust with internal ridges, pockets, and swales. The North Course's home stretch consists of a 633-yard par 5, a wedge shot par 3, and 4 par 4s beginning with the 13th that all tip out at over 500 yards. The fairway is over 50 yards across, but that width is deceptive since the right side is bowed and deflects drives into a depression of rough, leaving long, blind uphill approaches from hanging lies. The line down the left is slightly longer but clear and offers the option of running the ball onto the green that rises toward a back right corner, though getting balls all the way to rear pins requires much more strength than you think. In earlier decades, the primary distraction on the 14th hole might have been sounds coming from the Playboy Mansion just beyond the hedges near the tee. Today, it's the line of bunkers cutting into the fairway on the right that force most strides toward the left rough. Even those capable of carrying them will face tough second-shot decisions due to another strange and uniquely contoured green with beguiling pin placements. Hole locations in the front right lobe present small, well-protected targets that threaten to short-side long-range approaches, while pins to the middle and left offer more room and more generous bailouts. Listed on the card at 133 yards, the 15th played as little as 78 yards during the 2017 Walker Cup. A long front tongue less than 10 yards across sweeps downward between two bunkers, making it nearly impossible not to leave shots above front hole locations, and a devious knob in the center of the green meddles with middle and back hole locations. Requiring extreme precision, this is really several greens in one, each a tiny compartment, provoking the question of why sandwich par 3s like this one aren't in the playbook of more modern architects. Power drives on the long par 4 16th can pick up an extra 50 yards of roll if they take advantage of the firm turf and downslope just beyond the fairway bunker on the left, though that likelihood diminishes for anyone playing the 542-yard tournament tees. The danger for long hitters are the bunkers lurking on the right and the potential for tee shots to run through the fairway and be blocked out. Missing the green down the embankment on the right can be costly, and trying to read cross-green putts on the sculptural putting surface escalating and intersecting planes toward the back right corner can make players and caddies look foolish. The long 17th is an iron fist and a velvet glove, one of the most attractive holes in Los Angeles, but also one of the least forgiving. Playing from an elevated tee, the drive must thread a chute of sycamores to a fairway that drops back into the basin next to the second hole, with the barranca running along the right. Tee shots that don't find the fairway will have difficulty reaching the deep and seductively shaped green, cocked at 45 degrees to the line of attack behind a string of intricately edged bunkers. The putting surface is 45 yards from front right to back left, meaning a difference of 3 to 4 clubs on the approach depending on where the hole is placed. The final hole returns to the clubhouse plateau and runs parallel to the first in the opposite direction. The drive sets up somewhat awkwardly with little to aim at, and though most players can carry the bunkers on the left, a line down the right that flirts with the rough will set up a direct angle into the heart of the catcher's mitt green, bracketed left and right by bunkers. After all the hiking, grinding, and strategic calculation, the unassuming 18th may feel like a come-down, but it's really the ideal landing spot that ends the round like it began, where a 4 is likely to win the hole, but a 5 might not lose it. George Thomas believed his design at the Los Angeles Country Club would be one of the best courses in Southern California, if not the country. He wasn't wrong. The North Course has been in the Golf Digest ranking of America's 100 greatest each year since 1966, and has moved up continually following the Hanson-Wagner renovation to its current position inside the top 20. When Thomas and Bell built the North Course, it was part of the city's newly expanding frontier. The world around it has modernized, but the architecture of Los Angeles Country Club remains timeless. Playable and entertaining for all golfers, but insistent that good scoring requires strength, precision, and courage. Whether for Tuesday matches or a US Open, that remains a formula for greatness.